for now. Tracy?
It's pretty much said everything that I would say except for the third party part. But this is exactly why people don't vote. Like I used to say, how could you vote? Especially to my African, those of us of African descent. I'm like, somebody died for you. Somebody died so you could get this right. But they just looked at the system. They looked at a party, one party hates them right out open, and the other party tolerates it. So in their mind, what's the point? And when stuff like gerrymandering happens, which we should be paying attention to, we're not because we're too busy watching the Cat Williams interview. Like we're so distracted. Like we're just distracted from what we should actually be paying attention to and the ramifications this could have. And trust and believe, it's not just Republicans who gerrymander. Democrats
No.
gerrymander also. Let's put this on both
Mm-hmm.
parties. Now Republicans
Mm-hmm.
do it more based on race than the Democrats do. Democrats just do it based off of whatever metrics that they're using. They don't necessarily, well, I don't know that to be a fact, but I know the Republicans normally use race in their gerrymandering decisions. And the only way that I know to be gerrymandering, because the courts are going to move slow, because states are outright saying, yeah, we heard what you said, Supreme Court, but we're still not going to do it. Um, is to get people to vote. That's the only thing that beats gerrymandering. And you can't get people to vote because the system is so crooked that people just stay at home and just be like, what? Why vote?
And I'm glad you said that because that is one
Hold
of the
on, hold
things.
on, Theo. Hold on, Theo. What you have, Evan?
I was just wondering what are the, for lack of a better term, percentages of people who um, they just don't vote versus people who can't, who either find it very hard to get to a voter ID sort of thing, to get there, to take time off of work.
I know 40% of Americans who are eligible do not vote. Now, whatever reasons those are, that can include imprisonment, felonies, I don't give a care, the lines
Yeah,
are too long.
yeah, I think that there's definitely the reality that there are ability issues, right?
Mm-hmm.
Mobility ability issues. But and I'm not trying to sound harsh or anything, but mathematically they're complete outliers. Like mathematically, if you ran the numbers, it just would not matter in and of itself.
Okay.
And then you have like with the voter ID situation. Hate to sound like a conservative here, but that's largely a cop out as well, because there are carve outs and ways that we could accomplish that should we decide to do so. Right. So you're telling me at no point during the entire year for someone who does want to vote, can no one get you to a place to get ID? At
And
no point.
yeah, you get
At
your. I
no
know.
point.
Yeah, I know. In Indiana, we give our state not driver's license, but we get state ID. Although I don't think they should be using ID to vote, but hey, that's a whole nother discussion for a whole nother day. But you do get your ID to vote
Well, I'm curious because
for
um,
free.
I'm not a big, voter ID guy type of thing, but I'm not against it. So why wouldn't you use some form of ID?
I would say this is what I would say, and you can jump in here too. I've always thought asking people for ID for what? Who's out here committing voter fraud? Who's just out here like
It
you know
happens.
what? Okay, it happens.
Once again, it's small. It's small,
Yes,
but
that's what I'm
it
saying.
happens. So
I'm not disagreeing with you that it happens. I'm saying it happens in such small number. I have a better chance of winning the lottery than committing voter fraud. Those
no,
Well,
I
I got
have
because
a,
a
I
every
got
time,
better
a different,
chance
I
of
got a
winning the
different
lottery
take
than
on,
committing voter fraud.
no,
I got
every
a different
election
take
there
on
are
the
people.
I got a different
Oh,
take on the ID thing, and I'll give it back to you, Theas. I don't, me personally, I don't understand why you would not have some form of ID on you.
If you're a senior
Period.
citizen,
Or you don't live in a metropolitan area.
you
Because
live
if,
out in the
like, if you're in
country.
a rural area, what the hell do you need ID for?
Yeah, you in
I
the
mean,
country someplace, and you just
if you're not a driver, you know, I don't care.
Not be able to drive in a rural area.
But if you don't drive, it doesn't matter.
I mean,
Like there are communities that are so
okay, but
tight,
what you
you
are
can
saying,
walk anywhere you want to go.
but what you are saying is still to me an outlier. We're talking about the majority of people who are in a metropolis, who are drivers, who
Well,
who've had
it's,
ID before in their lives, and
so let me push back just a touch. So in rural communities across the country, in almost every state, there are significant portions of people who simply would not need an ID on a regular basis. Significant numbers. Now, our view is kind of distorted because we, you know, other than Anna, we all live in metropolitan areas. So it's just a daily thing, right? We, you know, but I still say even within those though, you should have some form of ID. Like, but I just think we shouldn't have all these hurdles. It's like if you really want to go at it, there's steps you have to now take. If you say that everyone needs to have an ID so that we can now, when you come to vote, because what your ID does when you come to vote is it's basically saying, here, take this. This is reflecting that another entity has verified my identity so you can move forward without me going through a bunch of paperwork and extra questions and all of that, right? Boom, here's the ID. DMV already cleared it. Boom, here's the ID. Passport people already cleared it. Boom, you see what I'm saying? But if we're going to do that, which I'm not against, not in favor, and I'm not against it, you know what I'm saying? I think there should be a solution, but I don't know what it is. But if you're going to do that, now we have to look at, well, what makes it so difficult to get the state ID? See, one of the issues with getting the state ID or a driver's license, you got to have a car or access to a car. And then with the state ID, or you have to have vision, you got to pass a vision test. All these different things go with the driver's license. You're right. You don't have to actually have a car.
You don't have to have
But,
a car to have a driver's license, but you do have to pass a
but-
vision test.
Correct. So state ID would be the solution for those people. Okay. But now with the state ID, what paperwork is involved for me to do this? What do I have to verify? And when you tell me I need to have a utility bill or something with my name on it, well, what if I'm a dependent in a family of like 8 people and I don't need ID? I don't.
Here's a good example.
No,
If
you're 25 years old and don't owe anybody anything. You just don't need
You're
it.
in college and you have no bills in your name. You're just off to college.
Yes.
I'm going to have to agree with Captain Sunshine on this. The argument, to me, it was put in place to keep a certain segment from voting, and that's why I can't
No,
stand.
I fully agree with that. But what I'm saying is, if we do
and plus you
require
have to have an
ID,
address. And if you're homeless, you don't have an address.
right? Also true.